The ball is on the 25, and it is 1st and 10. Welcome back to the show. Today is all things Chicago Bears. We're going to review 2024, look at their offseason that they had in 2025, and predict the 2025 NFL season. Metro, you ready to go?
100% all things Bears. Let's hop into it.
Bears fans, let's go back to 2024 and review this season, how it shook out in the NFC North. Y'all finished 5-12 on the season and finished in offensive points scored with 310, ranking 28th out of the NFL. And then for defense, we allowed 370 points, 13th in the NFL, a better ranking for sure. So, long story short, offense struggled throughout the year. Young players, really talented players, just could not get it together throughout the season. And then points allowed, the defense looked pretty nice, man. 13th overall in the league is a good score to have. Metro, what was your analysis on this season for the Bears?
Yeah, so I also have some statistics. These are a bit more in-depth. I felt like, man, it was a tale of like almost kind of two halves. The first half of the season, the offense was just really bad and struggling and figuring things out, and the defense was killing it, so it kind of kept them in games. But in the second half of the season, I felt like once Eberflus was gone, the defense just fell off a cliff, and the offense was kind of picking things up. So points per game, 18.2, 28th in the league. They were dead last in yards per game at 283.5. 2.1 touchdowns per game. They were good in the red zone and horrendous on third down. Running the football-wise, they were in the 20s to 25s. Passing the football-wise, they were, I guess, all over the board. They were 31st in passing yards per game, 10th in passes per game, 27th in completion percentage. And a number that's really stood out to me, their quarterback sack percentage was 10.73%, which is dead last in the NFL. Not good.
That's also partly because the O-line, the interior of the O-line, Metro, was like Swiss cheese. It was a damn mess last year. But also, like, let's call it what it is. Caleb also forced himself into some sacks, so you combine those two, and it's a recipe for a natural disaster pie.
Yeah, it was a bad offensive line, and it was a quarterback that, frankly, wasn't ready to play behind a bad offensive line. So It kind of just created this bad combination of two horrendous things. On the defense, statistically speaking, it looks okay on paper. I think once you go a little bit deeper, you can kind of find some flaws with their personnel and just overall things. Opponents' points per game, 14th, 21.8. Opponents' touchdowns per game, 2.2, fifth highest. Good in the red zone, decent on third down. Surprisingly, this team was really bad against the run, at least statistically speaking. They were allowing 4.8 yards per rush. They allowed 28.5 rushes per game, 136.3 rushing yards a game, and 1.2 opponent rushing touchdowns per game. And against the pass, teams didn't pass the ball too often on them. It was pretty balanced, but when they did, 7.9 opponents yards per game, opponents yards per pass. And then they 217.9 opponent passing yards a game, which was about middle of the road. So, in general, again, I kind of think defensively speaking, it was a tale of two halves, where the first half was good. Once Eberflus was gone, it was really bad.
Couldn't have said it better, man. The Bears had holes, but in their offseason, I would say they fixed it pretty well. Do you want to talk about that? Is there anything you want to review in 2024 specifically?
Yeah, I think man, I'm looking at what happened last year in 2024. I'm just looking at their schedule. Yeah. And they start the season off 4-2. And I remember I made a video on them. I was talking about the entirety of the NFC North, and I was like, oh, man, NFC North is stacked, man. The Bears are 4-2. They're looking good. Brother, they went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a 10-game losing streak.
Oh, my God.
Where
someone check on your Bears fan friend, dude. That's rough.
Here are these scoring outputs. This is what they scored.
Okay.
15, 9, 3 against the Patriots.
Oh, my God. Against
19,
the Patriots.
27, 20, 13, 12, 17, and 3. Ooh, man.
That's rough stretch, man. Was that not a single one above 25 points? I heard maybe one.
One. There was one game. And in fact, actually, if you look at the entire season, over 25 points, 1, 2, 3 times over 25 points.
And thus the record of 5-12. That's a recipe for bad quarterbacking and a bad offense.
Yeah, and when I talked about the defense performing worse down the stretch, I do want to give them, I guess, a little bit of a break because later in the stretch of the season, you had the Bears, you had the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, the Niners, who, have some pieces there.
They do.
And the Minnesota Vikings again, and the Detroit Lions again. So down the stretch of the season, they had a tough schedule. But, oh, man, it was rough last year, and I could just imagine being a Bears fan during that stretch was probably not fun.
Bears fans, luckily for you, wait a minute. I was going to say your season gets easier, but you have it also a very hard schedule in 2025.
Yeah.
Lions fans, I'm right there with you, brother. It's going to be tough, but the team did get better. Like, without a doubt, kind of did a 180 in some ways. Metro, any awesome stats you had for me before we dive into this free agency?
No, let's talk about free agency. I think we should definitely focus in on the trades because the trades are the biggest part of their offseason to me.
Totally. Let's kick it off there. Traded for guard Jonah Jackson and also traded for guard, all-pro guard Joe Thuney from the Chiefs. Guys, these were monumental moves for this team. Also got to call out, they got Drew Dahlman, the center, 3 years, $42 million. I'll call it the other two big signings. 3-year, $43 million for Grady Jarrett, the interior D lineman, and then Edge Dio for 3 years, $48 million. So, huge moves for the interior line. Like, literally took the three pieces they had that were just not working whatsoever, said, see ya, and then plugged in three more that are all pros, Pro Bowlers at some point in their life, and just really stout players. I didn't think any other team truly did a better job this offseason with their O-line than the Bears. And it's going to pay dividends during this season down the stretch. What was, of course, there's some more stuff to talk about here, but from the O-line alone, what did you like about this, Metro? How do you think it's going to shake out for the Bears?
Oh, man, it's a night and day difference from the interior. Your tackles are still going to be the same, but I felt like your tackles were good enough. That interior was just so below average, and I also just think that Eberflus did a really poor job of managing that interior offensive line. Joe Thuney is legitimately Pro Bowl, all-pro level. Jonah Jackson, though he's been dealing with some injuries throughout his career, is a really good run blocker, so I feel good about him there. And then in the middle, Drew Dahlman as well. Very underrated center, one of the better run-blocking centers in the NFL. So you get potentially an all-pro guard in Thuney playing one side, Jonah Jackson on the other side to go with Drew Dahlman, who can just create a lot of running lanes. Darnell Wright has shown glimpses, although he's struggled with penalties at times, but big dude, good athletic size. Then Braxton Jones probably won't be your long-term starter there, but you feel pretty good about having him, especially when you drafted some guys last year and this year that could be your swing tackles. So, man, in free agency, I think they killed it. Like, in a lot of ways, they had two big issues in the offseason, offensive line and defensive line. And they needed to add some pieces there, and they got experienced players, and they got some stars. And that is going to be two units that very well could end up becoming part of your strengths now to build with. And you pair that with what happened last offseason where you brought in Caleb, you got in Rome Odunze, and a whole host of other players like Montez Sweat. And I just think this team takes big steps forward this year. And I'm really impressed with what they did in a offseason where they had a lot of new faces and a lot of expectations, and I thought they did a really good job of finding like legitimate answers and not just being, conservative like some teams do.
Totally. With a brand new head coach in your boy Ben Johnson, it's really rare to see a head coach and a GM just pick it up and start moving instantly. Like you said, there's usually like a grace period of like, hey, we got to figure each other out. What's the mission of this team? Dude, Ben Johnson stepped in the building, and then him and Poles went to work. And like you're mentioning, Metro, if they just got Drew, Joe Thuney, or Jonah Jackson, it's like, okay, this is a good move. They got all three. I don't know how the hell they did that. It's really impressive, and I hope some teams take notes. And honestly, above all, I hope it really, really shows that it works for this team so other teams follow this formula in the offseason.
Yeah. Sometimes what you'll see is some general managers follow a similar route that the Bears do, where they'll just come out and just start firing the gun and going crazy. But they do it in a way that's, I want to say this properly. I don't want to mess up my terminology here. Well, they do it wrong, but they do it in a way that isn't like safe, right? It's silly.
That's right. They mortgage the future.
Exactly. The team that I look at and say like they did this and it's really going to screw them over in the future is the Miami Dolphins, where they bring in Mike McDaniel. He comes in, boom, give me Tyreek Hill. Boom, get me Teron Armstead. Later down the line, boom, give me Jalen Ramsey. And it's like, cool, you got these awesome players, but now you don't have the draft capital that you used to have. Now your salary cap's getting kind of messed up, and now you can't build an offensive line. Now you can't build a good group around these pieces, and the Dolphins are not a very good team right now because of that. So I think what the Bears did, yes, they gave out some big contracts to some players, but these are very safe players. These are not massive deals, and you just are getting plug-and-play starters in massive positions of need. And frankly, this was a Bears team that was equipped to be ready to win now. It just was missing those linemen to really amplify everything else, because you already had DJ. You already had your quarterback. You already have Rome, Swift. You already had some great cornerbacks and secondary members. You were just missing those supplementary linemen, and they didn't mess around and wait this thing out. They said, we need to go for it now. We have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal who Caleb Williams is making –
good money.
His cap hits like $30 million, and you pair that to Dak Prescott, who is a $60 million quarterback. So, yeah, I thought it was an awesome free agency. What would you grade it from a scale of F- to A+? I think it's up there.
I probably maybe like an F+. No, all jokes. This has easily got to be. I'm biased. I love O-line, Metro. I'm gonna go with like a fat, solid A. Like, I am all about what they did, because also what they did in free agency freed up their draft to pick whoever the hell they wanted. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I can't really think of another way they could have done a better job. Maybe like a more proven edge rusher besides Odi Yingbo, but it's hard to complain. They didn't really lose anything this offseason either. Like, they lost a linebacker, they lost Keenan Allen, or have they lost Keenan Allen? Has he signed with anyone yet?
I think he's just free. He's free out there, man.
Yeah, he's not returning to Chicago there, so you lost him, but I'm kind of with you. I kind of just think this is a really solid A. It was a home run hit. They made some awesome moves, and they made some awesome moves, but they didn't make risky moves. They made smart moves that are just going to work out. And so for Ben Johnson, I love what they did. And frankly, with their draft, as you mentioned, they kind of just went best player available and whatever pick they had, and I think it was pretty sweet.
You ready to talk about some of those awesome draft picks?
Yes.
Chicago Bears 2025 draft was a whirlwind. Let's talk about their players. First round, 10 overall, Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan. Second round, we got Luther Burden III, the wide receiver. Second round, again, they had so many second-round picks, Metro. Ozzie Trapillo, your dude, the O-tackle. He's one of your favorites. Second round, again, Shamar Turner, the D-tackle. Fourth round, Hubin Hippolyte, the second Maryland linebacker. Sorry, I tried my best there. And then fifth round, Za Frazier, the cornerback. Sixth round, Luke Newman, the O-tackle. And seventh round, Kyle Monongai. That's my guy, man. The running back out of Rutgers. Woo-wee. On draft night in the first round, it was Genty City for the Chicago Bears. Genty here, Genty this. Were they trading up to 4 to 5 to 6? Where are the Bears getting Genty? Well, he got taken. They didn't trade up because a crazier trade happened from 2 to 5, and things got shaken up real quick. Loveland falls in their lap, and it's a really interesting pick, Metro, because you already have Kmet. Now, they're different types of tight ends, right? This is a big slot. I love you, Colston Loveland, but you're not going to be in there at the goal line. Blocking, you can be, but that's not what your best use is, man. You're a big-bodied wide receiver. Get out there. Really interesting pick. What do you think this does to this Bears offense, especially with a brand new young quarterback?
Yeah, this is I was not the biggest fan of Colston Loveland. I felt, for me, the reason why I don't love Colston is I'm more into those traditional tight ends that like to be a bit more physical. They're brawler-style guys. I felt like Colston was a bit more of a finesse guy. You're not going to have him doing a lot of inline blocking. He can get out there in space and, in screens, or if he's going to pull, he can do that sort of stuff, but unless he really puts on some weight and really, puts his ass to work and just him and Cole Kmet just put hours on the sled, maybe he can do it. I will say though, I think the fit of him and Cole is actually pretty fun because Kmet can be a bit more of a physical guy, and Colston could just be kind of a weapon. In terms of what it does for the offense, it just gives you another weapon. It gives you another option, more variety, more unique packages. His play style is I wouldn't say unique, but it's more receiver style compared to a blocking tight end. Laporta for the Lions, who obviously Ben Johnson was with, he was a bit more of that all-around, well-built-together tight end, whereas Loveland isn't really quite Laporta-like. He's more Dalton Kincaid, but I would say a lot better because he's just more well-sized. I think he has better hands. And so you're going to see him lined up in a lot of different ways on the outside, running seams, running comebacks. I could see him honestly being involved a lot with screens as well. Like he's just going to be used all across the field. My personal opinion of the pick is because I'm not the biggest fan of Loveland, I would have preferred Tyler Warren. But maybe you feel like Warren and Kmet are just too similar to one another, which is pretty fair. So ultimately, it wasn't my favorite pick, but I also kind of look at it and say, well, what else would I have done there? Because the board kind of fell a certain way where all the top tackles were off the board. Honestly, I can't think about what I would have done. I really can't think. Maybe I would have went like Shamar Stewart, maybe. I don't know.
I understand. I totally understand because I'm right there with you, Metro, and I don't want any Bears fans to feel some kind of way that we don't love Colson Loveland. I wasn't high on him either, but I will say, who gives a damn what I think when Ben Johnson had his pick of the poison at 10 and he chose this guy in the first round? He has a plan for Loveland, man. So I'm excited to see what he does. Also kind of terrified at the same time. I will tell you, above all things, Caleb Williams, the best thing you can do in the NFL is surround your quarterback with weapons and great O-line play so he is almost forced to succeed. We will know how good Caleb is this year. There's no other way. He's maybe the best offensive play caller in the league. He has one of the best O-lines. Now, maybe not top 3, but the dude there in the conversation. And then also, he has more weapons that he can count on his damn fingers. This place is actually going to be ridiculous. Do you want to go to Luther Burden? Do you have anything else you want to say on Mr. Loveland?
Yeah, I guess we can also kind of roll this conversation over to Luther Burden, but this team put themselves in a position because of their free agency where, as you talked about earlier, they could have went with just the fun picks. They could have added the glitz and glamour picks. Last year, they went for those glitz and glamours with the Roma Dunze pick, and it ended up kind of backfiring because their offensive line was just so dog shit and terrible. But in the offseason, they messed around and fixed up that issue to where they could now actually go all in with these more fun picks. I'm kind of looking at the draft now. I think I would have taken, if I was in that room,
hit me.
I think I would have maybe taken Walter Nolan or Jalen Walker there. But it's it doesn't. I feel like NFL scouts were a lot higher on Colston Loveland, so I think we just have to put our hands up and say, sure, why not? It'll be awesome. That offense has so many options and weapons to work with. So rolling the conversation to Luther Burden, boy, what a fun player he is.
What a steal.
And what a great fit, by the way. Yeah, and a steal.
Luther is going to set the tone for the offense. Luckily, Luther, you saw in Missouri, he wasn't well utilized. You won't have that problem here, Bears fans. Luther Burden III is a great player and a great athlete. He's going to be great when he's only getting 4 touches a game, because let's be realistic here. In this offense with this many weapons, he's not getting more than 4 to 5 a game, and that's okay, guys. He'll eventually get more down the road. But as of right now, all he needs is 4 to 5 bubble screens. Just get the dude in space and let him work. He can make plays with his legs. He's also strong as a ball carrier. I like what he provides to this offense. There's just so many different tools. Colson Loveland, skinny, tall, post slot player. This dude can absolutely ball. Luther Burden, more of a yak guy. And then you have Rome, who's a contested catch monster. And I'm not even mentioning DJ Moore, who's on a massive contract. That guy can ball out too. There's just so many options. They have really great depth this year at their weapons. And I think they can just be one guy goes down, they're bring the next one in. We got a first-round talent just waiting for us.
Yeah, I think the fun thing is there's contrasting play styles here where Adonze is, like you said, more of a 50-50 ball winner, can make those big splashy plays downfield. DJ could play on the outside, can be a bit more of an underneath guy. And then Luther probably will primarily play within the slot, who just, hey, go out there, take a screen 50 yards, go run this. We're going to have you run some all sorts of weird actions. And you're going to see these 3 probably bunched up in a lot of formations together. And, good luck playing, such a condensed formation with those 3 guys. And then, hey, on the opposite side, we got Colston Loveland, who can run 4-5 at the tight end room, and then Cole Kmet's also a reliable target, and the offensive line is also solid. This is, again, another one of those picks where it's hey, he's here, he's fun. Ben Johnson gets another chess piece to work with. So it's hard for me to hate the pick. When the board fell that way and Luther Burden was falling right into their laps, I'm sure Ben Johnson just had a insane Joker smile on his face, just laughing his ass off Like, oh, I get this guy on my team with Colston Loveland. I'm sure he was grinning ear to ear because, yeah, it's going to be sweet. And we weren't even the highest on Burden either. I know for myself, he was my 6th or 5th ranked receiver, something like that. Now, Travis was in my list too, but I wasn't the highest on Luther. But, man, you put him in a situation where he's your wide receiver 3, he's going to absolutely cook there. And I do wonder, this is probably off topic a little bit, I do wonder if Burden plays really good these next 2 years, if maybe the Bears look at getting off of that DJ Moore contract and try and trading him.
Totally. I think, I think he could have said, wow, what a stutter. I don't think he could have said it better, man. Just why do you have all these weapons if you're not trying to replace anybody? Kind of how the Lions got Tesla with 3 third-round picks. Probably going to cover up J-Mo's contract that they don't want to pay here down the road. They've already paid DJ Moore. These guys play similar. They're not clones, I understand that, but this can fit into the same scheme. So good call out from you, Metro. Also, the Bears running back room, I think it's cool. I think it's fun. But with league average, it's underwhelming, correct? I wouldn't be surprised in some formations if Luther Burden's in the backfield. Now, he's not taking goal line reps, so I'm not stupid here. But on third down, when you want this guy to make some plays, he could be in motion a lot, like you mentioned. He can run the ball real hard. And with Ben Johnson, man, who knows what he's going to do with these players. It's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at DJ Moore's contract. It's a pretty nice contract. 4-year, $110 million deal. Yeah. It's really not that expensive. His cap hit is really... I thought it'd be a little bit more, but it's really not that big of a contract, especially when you're looking at the contracts that CeeDee Lamb's getting, Justin Jefferson, all these guys are getting huge contracts. DJ's is not the biggest contract, so it's a very tradable contract if Burden does work out. But I mean, shoot, why blow it up if this does work out? You have DJ, Rome, and Luther, and when DJ's contract does come up in 2030 or 2029. Shoot, you let Luther step in right at 2, and then Rome is your number 1. And I think the fun thing about this, too, is you're going to see this young Bears team grow up together because Caleb's was a rookie last year. Rome was a rookie last year. Komet is a little bit older but still fairly young. Loveland, rookie. Burden, rookie. So, yeah, it's sweet. And then the offensive line's a bunch of veterans that can just really help this young offense put it all together. So I'm a big fan of the first 2 picks. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the Loveland pick, but when you kind of put everything together, it's hard to hate it. And then there's my guy, Ozzie Trapilo, who, boy, that's a big dude. 6'8", 316. I'm a big fan of Ozzie. He was in my top 75, I want to say. I thought...
What are we getting out of Ozzie? What do you think?
Developmental tackle, that's huge, but he's honestly, for his size, he moves quite well. Now, he's not the best mover of all people, but he can move his feet quite well. And, you look at a guy like Braxton Jones, who's a fine player, 6'5", 310. Ozzie's a bit of a bigger guy. He, I think, has a higher upside, a really solid ceiling. His hands are really good, and when he gets off the ball, he can just move people. So I think right now he's going to operate as a primary swing tackle, where if Braxton sucks, put Ozzie in. If Darno misses a game, put Ozzie in. 2-3 years down the line, this is going to be probably your starting, maybe a left tackle of the future, because this dude is strong as hell, and for his size, he moves quite nice. His bend is the only thing that I do kind of worry about. Because he is 6'8", you can see edge rushers, especially strong edge rushers, really get underneath his pads and push him back. But if he gets good coaching, there's a lot to like with this guy. He's only 23 too, so there's a lot of growth for him to go to. So I like the Ozzie Trapilo pick quite a bit. And for a third-round pick, I mean, when you've done such a good job with the interior, you've done such a good job with your defense, again, we're going to repeat it here. Just take the swings on the fun players with super high ceilings, and I think that's exactly what Ozzie is.
Heck yeah, man. They also had 3 total second-round picks, so the last second-round pick was going to be Shamar Turner, who is also a very exciting player. Above all, my personal favorite value pick is going to be Kyle Monunga. I mentioned that at the beginning. Bears fans, you talk about all heart. He's going to run through anybody's face standing in front of him. That's what you're getting in Kyle Monunga. I would be shocked if he's not getting at least a good amount of carries down the back end of the season. When people are a little bit banged up and it's a 17-game season, this could totally happen. Monunga is fun. Look for him in fantasy. He's going to do some sneaky damage this year. Anybody else you want to talk about here on this draft list, Mr. Metro?
They had 3 second-round picks. Did they trade up for one?
Yeah, dude. Wow, no, they had them going into this draft, I believe so.
Wow.
Like, stupid. I was like, they have to trade up. There's no way they use all these, and they did.
That is insane. I like the Zaw Frazier pick. He's an older rookie, but like he's going to be 24 or 25, and he's only played like 10 games, which is so bizarre. You don't see that very often, but man, he's very long and lengthy, and he is sticky in man coverage. He has a lot of traits to like, but he is an older one. I think my only complaint with this draft is that I still wanted them to draft a running back with one of those second or fourth round picks, and they didn't. Right, so you took Loveland, you took Burden, cool, super fun. You're gonna have so many different variety of weapons to go to. I love the Ozzie pick. Shamar Turner, I understand. I'm not the biggest and highest guy on Turner, but I can understand the upside there and wanting to fix the interior. But that linebacker pick in round 4 to me would have been the great spot to take a running back. And when you entered into day 3, I think Cam Scataba was still on the board, and boy, him with DeAndre Swift in this offense would have been perfect. And I just feel like they kind of missed the mark on the running backs. I love Kyle Monangai too. I think he's just an absolute bulldozer that does everything that you want in a running back. Yeah. And he's gonna get opportunities in the preseason to prove himself, and I think the coaching staff will love him. But I think they needed a bit more of a potential future superstar. I shouldn't say that. Maybe more of a future starter, right? And I don't think DeAndre Swift is the guy. As much as my Texas bias for Roschon Johnson's here, he's not the guy either. And then Kyle Monangai, I love Kyle, but I think he's best suited as like a goal line second or first and second down option rather than like a third down passing threat and a 3-down guy. So I just think they missed the mark a little bit with the running back room, and that is the one position group that I do still worry about because this was not an awesome running team last year. You can put most of the blame on the offensive line, but I just don't think you have the backs in the backfield to really get the job done for the foreseeable future. But I can guarantee you that this will probably be their top priority of 2026. So this is probably just going to be a potential one-year issue, if it's an issue at all. And Ben Johnson, with his coaching style and the way that he wants to operate, they're going to get some running backs. I promise you. It could be as soon as by the trade deadline if this team is really cooking. So overall, I thought their draft was solid. I still think running back was a big-time issue they did not seriously address outside of Kyle Monangai, but it's hard to complain. You could get potentially 3 impactful guys, and you have some upside guys later in the draft that maybe could do something. So what would you grade it from an F to an A?
Am I grading on the fact that they killed the free agency too, or am I grading like just looking at this draft?
Grade it within the context of what the Bears did. So given the fact they did not seriously address running back, given the fact that they maybe still have some defensive line issues they could have maybe put some more work into, kind of take that into account.
This very well said. This kind of goes to like how with the Lions, I was like, you know what? I didn't love the players, but I trust the coaches. I trust Ben Johnson and I trust Poles. I'm going to give it like a B. I really like what they did in this draft. And like you mentioned, I'm biased here. If Shamar Turner is Caleb Johnson, who was available in the 3rd, I'm now – obviously we're going weapon, but this team now has filled all their needs to the max. It'd be pretty nice because Caleb Johnson went to Pittsburgh in the 3rd.
That would have been nice. I didn't even think of that. That would have been nice. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I would also say B because they took some super fun picks like Burden and Loveland that are going to be awesome players and awesome fits. But I still think I would have liked to have seen a few more pieces within the running back room and like maybe another edge rusher outside of Montez and Dio. But it gets like a B+ for me, bordering on an A-. So good job for the Bears. And do you want to transition to the offense?
Let's do it. Let's talk about their offensive depth chart and review this to a whole. Let's go to the wide receiver position where we have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Luther Burden III. For our O-line, we have Braxton Jones at left tackle, Joe Tooney, the traded-for guard from KC at left guard, Drew Dalman, the signing from Atlanta at center, right guard, another trade for Jonah Jackson, and then right tackle we have Darnell Wright. At tight end we have Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet, got to mention them both. And then at QB, Caleb Williams, the first overall pick last year. And then at running back, it's a committee of DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, and Kyle Monangai. Screaming immediately at me is depth in the weapons department, as we mentioned. This O-line has gotten shored up, and the depth in the weapons is ridiculous. This team is built to go the distance. What are your thoughts on this offense?
Yeah, great receivers. Offensive line is a lot better, and I love the tackle depth there too. And I still worry about the running back room, but I don't think that stops me from saying that this potentially could be an awesome offense. I think the only thing I will say is I don't expect this offense to be humming early because the Ben Johnson system is, I think it's a very unique system that, oddly enough, I think will take Caleb a lot of time to get used to. Caleb is somebody who, at Oklahoma, at USC, and even last year for the Bears, he wants to run around. He wants to make big chunk plays happen. He wants to get, crazy out there doing all that stuff. When Ben Johnson is more of a rhythm, anticipation guy. He needs you to sit in that pocket, read defenses, make these quick RPO passes. And I think Caleb has that in his toolbox, but he needs to kind of hone that in. Yes, every so often the play's not going to work, and you got to create some magic out there, and Caleb can do that. But there's also times where you got to say, okay, just follow the play, trust Ben Johnson. I got to throw some anticipation here. So I do think it will take some time for that Caleb and Ben Johnson connection to work. But I thought Caleb Williams was the quarterback one of that draft, and I still stand by that I think he's so unbelievably talented and has a lot of things working for him. He just he has to kind of put it together within the next couple of seasons, because I think he showed glimpses of it last year behind an offensive line that was horrendous. And now you get a great offensive coach. You have a better team around you. So there's some pressure on Caleb. Like, as soon as his sophomore season, I don't expect him to be a Pro Bowl, first team All-Pro type of guy. But, if he can be a bordering top 15 quarterback by end of season, that'll be sweet.
That's exactly right. The case for the Bears offense, like you said, it's going to take a minute to get into rhythm. But once they do, I'm thinking the benchmark for me personally, when it's Thanksgiving and you're talking to your family, Bears fans, and you're like, where do the Bears stand? We feel like they're ass. We feel like they're good. I feel like by then your offense should be humming, and you've ripped off at least one or two really good wins in November, and you're feeling really good about your team. That's kind of what I'm predicting and aiming at for the Bears offense. Defense should start a little bit hotter, but what are your thoughts? Like, what's your benchmark? Are you like Thanksgiving's the day, or we're like, nah, give it to December? Like, what's kind of your range?
In terms of when they can really start to get things going?
Yeah, because you said it's going to be a process.
Yeah, it's going to be a process. By November, like early November, if they can get that offense, because November is you're getting towards the second half of the season. If they can be, middle of the pack through the first couple weeks, and then really put it together after the bye week and heading into November, and just get that ball rolling in the right direction, I think that is when I expect it to happen, and that is when I would want it to happen. Because this defense is really good, and there's just too much talent for this offense to not potentially be, top 15-ish unit by end of season. Yeah, because you can't be a bottom, 25 through 32 again. That's just not. There's too much talent here, way too much, and such a great offensive-minded head coach too. So I think the standard is by end of season, when it hits week 18, you have to be a borderline top 15 offense, because if that's the case with this defense, you're pretty darn set in terms of being an awesome team. But we want to talk about the defense and then some fun predictions.
Yeah, man. Best part of the show coming up here pretty soon. But first, we got to talk about this awesome defense. First, at the edge, we have Montez Sweat. At D-tackle, we have Gervin Dexter Sr. D-tackle again, Grady Jarrett from Atlanta, who we just signed to a 3-year deal. At the other DN, we have Dayo Oyabingo. Is that correct?
Dayo Oyabingo.
Thank you very much, sir. That's my Pro Metro right there. At linebacker, we have TJ Edwards. Middle linebacker, we have Tremaine Edmonds. He's a beast. At corner, we have Tyreek Stevenson. Safety, we have strong safety. We have Juwan Brisker. Free safety, Kelvin Bayard. And then corner, Jalen Johnson, absolute monster. And then nickelback, Kyler Gordon. No fly zone. That's what I see right here, Metro. This defense is looking pretty nice on the secondary end, and they added some pieces in the front seven as well. Where do you think they finish in 2025? In 2024, they finish 13th out of the entire league in scoring. What about in 2025?
Yeah, they finished 13th in scoring, but they could have been a lot better. If their offense was just middle of the pack last year, it could have been a lot better. I expect this to be a top 10, bordering top 5 defense next year. So much talent, and Montez has a budding star in Dayo Oyabingo, who has gotten better year after year. Have some dudes up the middle that can stuff the run and also get after the quarterback. Your linebackers are sharp. There's some depth there too, and your secondary is It's awesome. It's pretty nasty. And the only thing I worry about is, Byard is getting a little older. So, maybe in the future, next year, you want to look at that free safety spot. But there's variety. There's stars. There's, more depth here than last year. So as long as this unit stays healthy, this is a top 10 defense. And again, when they had Matt Eberflus, it was a top 10 defense. So Dennis Allen is their new defensive coordinator, who was the Saints' I think former DC, former head coach. So I think he's a veteran. He's been there, done that. It did suck, though, that you lost Eberflus and his defensive mind. I would have loved to have seen this team have Eberflus and then really develop a young coach underneath him. So that way, when Eberflus left, you still had his stuff going for this defense with just a different guy. But it's hard to hate the Dennis Allen move because he's been there, done that, has put some great defense out there. It's a great defense, and it's hard to find better defenses out there.
Well said, man. When you look at this full team, offense, defense, all around, the 2 weak spots, maybe not weak, but could be better. Safety, we're getting a little bit older there, and then running back, right? And also you could use a little bit of an better edge, but safety and running back are two positions in the NFL that hey, if you're going to be bad at something, I'm cool with those two opposed to other huge positions in the NFL. What are your thoughts on that being their weakness? Do you think it's going to bite them more than you think, or are you more supportive if you're going to be bad, that's where to be bad at?
Yeah, if I'm going to be bad anywhere, I want to be bad in those super fun positions you can take at any point in the draft, which is safety and running back. And I think the interior defensive line has some younger pieces, and we'll see what Shamar Turner can look like, but I would like to see maybe another option there. There's so many young guys, though, so I can kind of understand their perspective of just bringing in a vet like Grady. And maybe especially if Austin Booker doesn't seriously develop and stuff, maybe another edge rusher would have been sweet, but it's just free safety. And again, Kevin Byard was good last year. It's just that he's older. And so you just, you want that future guy. But the only, I don't want to say dire need, because I don't think it's a dire need, but the only position that I'm sitting here saying, yes, they should probably address that as soon as possible would be running back. But, for this team, it's just a young team that we have very high expectations on, and for good reason. It's just going to come down to putting it on the field. And by end of season next year, can they be the team we think they can be?
Well said, man. And speaking of putting it on the field, I think it's time for the best part of our show. Full-on season predictions. We're going to go into 2025 game by game. I'm going to spoon-feed Metro, not literally, but figuratively, and he's going to give me a W or an L for each Chicago Bears game. Metro, are you ready to break down this schedule?
100%. Like you said, you're going to go through every single game, and then I'm going to tell you win or lose, and I might throw you a few bones because it's not the hardest schedule in the world, but it's a tough schedule in some ways too. That whole NFC North has it tough this year.
Couldn't have said it better, man. Week 1, it's Monday, September 8th. Monday Night Football, we got the Minnesota Vikings at home for the Chicago Bears, correct? 7:15, it's a night game, obviously. Man, you talk about two offenses that might have slower starts with J.J. McCarthy and also Caleb Williams. This is going to be a real temp check on the season. Who do you have winning this game?
Wow, like you mentioned, Minnesota and Chicago, kind of two similar teams with younger quarterbacks and awesome rosters that could start off slow. I'm going to predict Chicago. No. Yes, no. Oh, man. I think I'm going to toss you a bone from week 1. It's such a toss-up.
You're making me pick this game?
I'm making you pick this game because I'm not picking this one.
Hardest ones in the league.
We got to pick this one later down the board, too, when these teams are actually going in the right direction. That's going to be tough. But
that will be. Week 1, though, I'm going to keep it simple, man. Both these teams are really good. The Vikings roster is probably better, but I'm a much bigger Caleb believer than I am with J.J. McCarthy. That's just me, though. I'm going to go with the Bears right here, stealing a huge win in Week 1.
And then afterwards, after that Minnesota game, who we got?
Dude, oh man. Week 2, we're on the road going to Detroit, and we're playing the Detroit Lions. It's a noon game, thank goodness. Pressure's low, but still a tough team to play. Metro, what are your thoughts here? Who's winning this game?
Yeah, I'm going to go Detroit. They're the established team. I'm sure that Ben Johnson is at Detroit, so Ben Johnson might get some boos, but I'm sure it'll be in good faith. And Dan Campbell needs to make a point here that, you lead the team, we're going to kick your ass. And they're not going to have any pity on you. So I think Detroit even though they just lost their center. We haven't talked about that.
Huge.
RIP. That's going to suck.
But
I'm going to go Detroit. They're the more experienced team, and you got to think that Campbell knows what Ben Johnson's going to do. So I'm going to go with Detroit.
Heck yeah, man. From these 2 weeks, Chicago's schedule is absolute cinema. Let's go into week 3.
Yeah.
We have the Dallas Cowboys. First, we had my team. Now we got Metro's team. It is on the road. Actually, it's at home. We're at home. The Cowboys are coming to Chicago. Who's winning this game, Metro?
Dallas has had a lot of success versus Chicago. I feel like I should have you also pick this one because I am a Cowboys fan, and I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win this game because I'm biased, and I just think Dallas is the veteran team that's been there, done that. But Ben Johnson's had the Cowboys' numbers too. So I'm going to let you pick this one because I am a biased opinionator here.
You got it, man. Let me just say, Bears fans, I got you, baby. Belt the ass on the Cowboys. Send them back home.
Whoa. Actually, I think I'll take this one. Cowboys get the win 60-0.
Tough shit. We're 1-2, Bears fans. I was too aggressive. We're going into week 4. We're gonna lose this game at home, and now we have the Raiders on the road. Now the Raiders, not the best team, but man, they are built early in the season. They don't have crazy depth, right? But this offense, early in the season, can do some damage with Ashton Genty. They're going to run the ball 1,000 times. Who wins this game, Metro? The Bears on the road or the Raiders?
I think this is a game where you can see the Bears start to put some pieces together because this Raiders secondary is very weak, and there are some weapons in Chicago that can really get open here and make some splashy plays. So I'm going to go with Chicago in Las Vegas to would this be considered an upset at this point? Probably not.
This be a win.
They'll probably be favored.
I expect Bears to be good. Maybe for like national media, they'll be like, "Oh, it's an upset." Bears are good, man. We know that, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna have the Bears winning against the Raiders.
Heck yeah. We're going straight into week 5, and it's a bye week. No wonder they say this schedule is hard. What a interesting bye week, because now you have 24,000 games down the stretch, and it is a long one. Going into week 6, we're on the road again. The Washington Commies. It's going to be Monday Night Football. No. Who's winning this game, the Commanders or the Bears?
Let's not forget what happened last time the Bears faced the Commanders. The Bears were up massive.
Why are you doing that to them, man?
Not massive, but they were up, and then Washington throws a Hail Mary for the win, and I think it was Tyreek Stevenson or somebody was celebrating in the crowd, going crazy.
And then, crowd.
Oh, yeah, tough. This is a tough matchup. Washington's a good team. I will say I do think the Bears are a better roster, but Washington has that dude named Jaden Daniels, and that motherfucker is good. He's good,
pretty
dude.
good, can't lie.
He's pretty damn good, and they did a decent job this offseason. But I think Chicago is Chicago and Washington could very well be this new little rivalry because of that game with the two young quarterbacks.
That picked back-to-back?
Back-to-back. There's some stories here. I'm going to get Chicago the victory here. You get a bye week, week 5. It sucks. I hate the week 5 bye weeks. The NFL, please stop doing that. It's miserable. When you have a week 5 bye week, then you got to play 13 straight games. It makes no sense. But I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give this one to the Chicago Bears. Maybe I'm a Cowboys hater, or no, let me rephrase that. Maybe I'm a Cowboys supporter. I'm biased towards them, but I don't think the Commanders are roster-wise as good as a lot of teams and a lot of people think they are. So I'm going to pick the Chicago Bears to pull off the upset here, and maybe it'll be on a Hail Mary. We'll see.
Ooh, that would be sweet as
cinema
gets, man. The Bears season's fun as hell. So many storylines. Week 7, we're back at home, and the New Orleans Saints are rolling up. It's going to be noon on a Sunday. How's this one shake out?
I got the Bears winning. More talented team. New Orleans is a franchise that's in the rebuilding process. I'm not the biggest believer in Shock, but even if Shock's playing good football at that point, Chicago's just a better roster. So I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears.
Week 8. Oh, hello.
Ooh,
on the road, we're going to Baltimore to play the Ravens. It's a noon game, but I don't think time really matters here. This is a really good Ravens team. How does this game finish?
I'm going to predict a shootout game here, a game that gets into the high 30s, but I think Baltimore is going to find a way to win this one. Just a better team, more experienced. Lamar is a superstar, whereas Caleb's figuring things out. I do think that if this game does become a shootout, I think we're going to see the Bears really start to put it together afterwards here. So good things are moving in the right direction. I got the Baltimore Ravens winning, though.
Heck yeah, we're on an AFC North World Tour. Week 9, we're going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. And like you mentioned, Metro, if this offense is going to heat up in November, this is a pretty good game to do it against. The defense isn't crazy against Cincinnati. How do you see this one ending? How do you expect this game also to be? Should it be a shootout, close? What's it going to look like for you?
So when I think of Washington, what happened last year, when Jaden Daniels was coming in and that offense really got going, they really got going against that Bengals team where they had an awesome matchup there, and then they really became a good team down the stretch. I think we're going to see something similar with Chicago here, where they're going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a super high, potent offense, but their defense is very questionable. So I think this is another one of those games where Caleb can get that offense rolling, and Joe Burrow is going to get their offense going. I'm expecting a fun game that gets, a pretty intense finish, but I got the Chicago Bears pulling the win off here.
Huge win. You heard it here first. God bless the Cincinnati Bengals. They develop quarterbacks better than anybody else. Week 10, we are at home, and the Giants are rolling up to Soldier Field at noon. It's on Fox. Who's winning this?
As much as I think the Giants are an underrated roster, I do think Chicago's the better team. I could see New York potentially pulling off the upset here, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Chicago Bears.
Bang! We're 6-3 on the season. Week 11 on the road, Minnesota Vikings. We whooped some ass in week 1. J.J. McCarthy was a little bit nervous, a little bit shaky, but now he's maybe a seasoned vet. Nah, it's too much. But he has now had half a season under his belt. How does this game go, Mr. Metro?
Yeah, we had Chicago win the first one. I'm going to have Minnesota winning this one. It's at Minnesota. McCarthy's hopefully clicking at the time. It's hard to doubt Kevin O'Connell on that offense, so I'm going to give the win to the Minnesota Vikings.
Couldn't agree more. 6-4 going into week 12. I'm rhyming like crazy. I'm like Dr. Seuss. Week 12, we are at home, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are rolling up. It's noon. Who is winning this game? We got Raji. Oh, man. Holy hell. This Bears schedule is magic. You have Raji coming back to Soldier Field. I want to be there for that game. How's this one go, Metro?
I think Bears fans will riot if they lose this game. Because this is the first time they've went up against Rodgers and had a legit chance. So I'm going to give this one to the Bears. Look,
thank God.
If we ever do a Steelers video this offseason, it's probably just going to turn into a Aaron Rodgers rant from me, because I think it is such a stupid signing for both parties. Like, Rodgers, just go retire, dog. Just retire, dude. You're not going to do anything with the Pittsburgh Steelers, dude. You're going to win 9-10 games. You're going to make the playoffs, and you're going to get your ass kicked and embarrassed by a Buffalo or Baltimore or I hope it's not the freaking Kansas City Chiefs, because they're going to pull the refs out at you too. Yeah, dude. I think that Pittsburgh's team is talented. Their defense is nasty. But I'm expecting a low-scoring game here where Caleb gets the job done late. So I'm going to have the Bears winning here.
7-4. Feeling real good. And just in time to get your dreams kind of crushed, it's Friday night after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Week 13. We're going to Philadelphia on the road. 2 p.m. game, weird kickoff.
Is that Thanksgiving?
Wins? Not Thanksgiving. It's going to be Friday, so they're doing a Black Friday game this year, maybe two. But this will be one of them. Who wins this game in Philly?
I thought Chicago always had a Thanksgiving game. Or am I tripping?
The Lions and the Cowboys are always locked into them. And
Okay.
then Chicago usually got a lot of those.
Yeah. I'm going to go Philadelphia. I think that this is one of those games where you have a young team that's blistering hot. They're coming off a couple of nice wins. And then the big bad bullies who won the championship come to town and put a belt to ass. So I'll get Philadelphia winning here by a pretty good margin here. So it's one of those experiences that every awesome young team has to go through, and the Washington Commanders went through it last year in the playoffs, and I expect something similar here, where the veteran team that's been there, done that, they're gonna kick their ass. So I got Chicago losing to Philadelphia.
Welcome to the fucking show, Chicago Bears. We're going to Week 14 on the road again. This team is pretty damn good too. You know them pretty well. The Green Bay Packers are going to be hosting y'all at noon on a Sunday. Who is winning this game, Metro?
Man, I think Green Bay's well put together. They've got a good quarterback, a good head coach. Who won those matchups last year? Let's see. 2024 Packers won. No, Bears won 24-22 in Week 18, and then Packers won 20-19. So very close games both times around. I'll go with the Packers. I think that You see a little bit of a hangover from a bad loss to Philadelphia. You're trying to get back in the right direction. Green Bay can get you while you're down. So I'm going to give Green Bay the win here. Plus, it's in Green Bay, and that's a very tough matchup and place to get to, especially because it should be winter conditions at that point. December 7th, it should be getting a little bit colder. So Chicago can play on the cold, but, it's not fun when you're in another team's stadium and there's some icicles forming. You're slipping all over the place. Maybe this is what happens. 4th and 12.
Okay.
They're at the 12-yard line. So you get the first down, you score a touchdown. Caleb's going to slip on an icicle and lose, and everyone's going to call him Icy Boy. That's what's going to happen. I'm fanficking over here.
Honestly, one hell of a prediction. If it comes true, we need to have a talk, buddy, because you know some things that others don't.
Yep.
We are now 7-6 on the year. We have 4 games left and 1 loss to afford if we want to make the playoffs, maybe even if that. Luckily, though, we're at home, and the Browns come here and gift wrap. It's going to be December 14th. It's at noon. Who wins this game, Metro?
Yep, Bears are probably starting Gabriel or Shador at this point. So it could be a fun game if Shador is getting his first start here. This could be one of those matchups where it's like, hey, nobody's excited for it right now, but when we get to that point, a lot of people could have some excitement. Chicago's going to win. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback for Cleveland. They're screwed either way.
Don't matter at all. And like you said, this is the point of the season where teams that are cheeks know they are, and they're just like, who cares? Start whoever. We're just trying to get a draft pick now. So couldn't have said it better. This game could be very interesting just to add to the cinema season of 2025 for the Bears. Week 16, hello, Packers. We're back, but we're back at home. Who wins this game on a Saturday, December 20th? Very interesting. Who do you got?
Yeah, this time Caleb is going to wear different cleats so he doesn't slip on the field, and he's not going to slip, and he's going to get the touchdown. So I'm going to go with the Bears to avenge their loss against the Packers, 13 days ago. So I got the Bears winning this one.
LFG, we're 9-6. This team's heating up. It's the talk of the town. Week 17, we're back on the road. We're going to sunny California. San Francisco 49ers is who we're facing on Sunday Night Football. Shortly after Christmas, who's winning this game?
San Francisco is not battle-tested at all. They have one of the easiest cakewalks of a schedule you ever see. They have one tough matchup in Week 5 against the Rams, and I guess those Cardinals matchups could be interesting. But outside of that, this is going to be a very cakewalky schedule for San Francisco, and I think Chicago could be in a situation here where San Francisco maybe already has a playoff spot, potentially locked up, so they're taking the foot off the gas a little bit, and I think Chicago gets the win here. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you get a San Francisco team that's getting cocky and excited when they just haven't versed nobody, and Chicago just kind of beats their ass. So I'm going to get Chicago the win here.
Hell yeah, 10-6, and to finish the season, we're playing against the Detroit Lions at home. This will be a fun one. This will be January, cold as it can be in Chicago for a Bears game. Who wins this one, Metro? We're 10-6. We're likely in the playoffs. Maybe we're battling for a spot, but we're probably going to be in. What do you think? How does this one shake out?
I think Detroit will still be playing this game because I think they'll be positioning themselves with seeding at this point. I think they'll be locked in a playoff spot. I think Chicago will be potentially fighting for a playoff spot. I do think Detroit, though, is actually not going to bench anyone. Like, they're going to be going fully for this game and maybe trying to create some momentum to head into the playoffs. So I'm going to give the win to Detroit here. I think Detroit's just the more experienced team, and until you prove it to me, it's hard for me to predict a team like Chicago to beat a Detroit Lions team that, yes, has gone through a lot of changes, but it's hard to doubt that team when they have so many great pieces. So I'm going to have Detroit winning, so that puts the Bears, 10-7?
10-7. I mean, one hell of a year. Does that, you think that has them make the playoffs? I think it does, but what are your thoughts?
They'll be fighting for the 7th seed, and I think there's a chance they get in. And the nice thing is, this schedule's not terribly difficult. It is hard. There's some tough matchups here, but you're going to be battle-tested. So if you do get to the playoffs, it's not going to be a shock when you get in a tough game versus some good teams out there. And, if one of these games goes the opposite way, you're 11-6 or 12-5, and you're easily in the playoffs. So before we hop on out, what is your ceiling for the Bears in terms of how many wins will they win this year, best case scenario? And what is their floor, and what do those routes kind of look like?
Fantastic question. Do you mind if we do a little extension to the show starting today? If the team's good enough to make the playoffs, we do a hypothetical playoff run?
Yeah, why not?
Even if it's one and done? All right, let's do it. In my humble predictions. This is where I'll come in because I let Metro take the baton. If you finish at 7 seed, you're likely playing the Eagles.
Philly.
They're pretty damn good. Or if they have the bye week, the Bucks uniquely have a really good team and a pretty easy schedule. I think they're going to rack up some serious wins this year. So, like, Bucks, the Philadelphia Eagles are one of those NFC North teams. Who do you want them to play in week 1? Actually, I'm just going to feed them to you because I'm the computer. Week 1, for fun, let's give them the Green Bay Packers. Who wins this game? It'll be in Green Bay. No more icicles. We know what the hell is going on, but this is a tough game.
So that's assuming the Packers win the division?
Yes.
Ooh, interesting. I could see it. Man, it'll be a fun game because they split in the regular season. It's in Green Bay. It's going to be freezing cold. Hopefully Caleb puts on the right shoes this time so he doesn't slip on 4th and 12. I'm going to go Packers. I think they're the more experienced team that needs it. I know. I will say if they get the right matchup though, I'll tell you this. They're not beating the Rams because I think the Rams are great.
Okay.
Not beating the Eagles.
Okay.
You could beat the Packers. You could beat the Lions because those are divisional games that sometimes are a coin toss. You can beat the Commanders, in my opinion. Bucks, you could beat them. So they're right. I'm not saying they will beat them, but I'm saying they have a shot to beat them. So given the right matchup, they could have a shot of maybe making a deeper run. But right now, I'm just going to say probably just a wild card team. But it's pretty darn good, in my opinion.
Well said, man. I'll go back to your question. Sorry, I just want to do a hypothetical real quick. Thought it'd be fun, especially for Bears fans. My ceiling is honestly where we finished today. 10-7. This is assuming everything goes well and this team heats up. If you want to get more wins than that, this is how I look at it. Baltimore on the road, Philadelphia on the road, I'd even argue Green Bay on the road, and Detroit on the road. All hard, really hard games. If you can sneak one game from each divisional opponent, that's how you increase your ceiling to 11 or 12 wins. I think 12 is a little bit too rich, so I'll put my ceiling at about 11-6. What about you?
I put for my super, opportunistic, like everything goes well for this team is 12-5. Yeah. That would probably mean you have to split Detroit. You got to beat Green Bay twice, and you got to find a way to beat one of Philadelphia, Washington. Some of these NFC East matchups. Sorry. So I said best case scenario 12-5. I said worst case scenario, and this is Caleb Williams does not fit the system well. The draft picks don't work out this year. There's still some development with the offensive line, and the defense takes a big step back with no Eberflus. I said their floor is like 5-12, and that's again worst case scenario where everything goes wrong. So quite a big range there between 12-5 to 5-12, but there's a lot of good things going for Chicago. There's also some chances where things don't go their way. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Plus, if Caleb Williams goes down, which we're not predicting here, we hope not, obviously, but they don't have a great backup. They have Tyson Bagent, who had good for him, great story, made some plays, but he ain't no Cooper Rush.
Man, Cooper, what an absolute legend. So our ceilings final predicted 12-5 ceiling for Metro, 11-6 for me. Anything else you want to say about the Chicago Bears before we get out of here?
No, Bears fans, I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully you guys have a good season. Hopefully they can finally put it together because I know Bears fans are they're very passionate fans, and they deserve it. They 100% do.
Heck yeah. Bears fans, comment below what your prediction is for this season. What's the record? How far do you go in the playoffs? If you make it in your opinion, drop it in the comments below. If y'all enjoyed this video, you can take a second to like the video. It really boosts the algorithm. Thank you very much. If y'all love NFL content, we're going to be here all summer long, every single Monday, every single Thursday throughout the summer. Your usual channels aren't posting shit, but we got y'all all summer long. Go sub down below for more content just like this. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you more than you know. Have the best day. Love y'all. Metro, say goodbye to the people.
Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.